Hello and welcome back to the podcast, to the Cinebums podcast. It's a lovely afternoon here in California to talk about Kino children's films or Kino family films, which was the idea of our lovely guest today, Charlotte, who's a first-time guest on the podcast. Lovely to have you here, Charlotte. And also Rye Bread is back. He was on the 1960s episode. My friend, welcome back. You were a great guest. Advocate for Virginia Woolf. We love to see that. It was a great episode. Charlotte, I want to ask you right up top, I asked you what episode you wanted to do, what motivated you to pick family films and the best family films list sort of thing.
I just feel like they're underrepresented, especially outside of animation and whatnot, because there are some really great pieces of cinema, I think, that are specifically for kids or specifically for families as a genre and whatnot.
Yeah, totally. And rest assured, I do admittedly have a lot of animation on my list.
Same.
I think my roots are always going to be animation. What got me started in movies, so I just couldn't resist. But what deterred or what determined your list? Was it your favorite films as a kid, or through the lens of being an adult? For I guess for both of you, how did you make your top 10?
A little bit of both. When it came to limiting things down to my top 10, I wanted to think of things that I would want to show my children when I have them, things I loved when I was a kid. And let's say I'm babysitting, would I get sued if I showed someone this? Then it's not going to make my list, unfortunately. So Wizards will not be making an appearance.
Oh no.
Bocce.
That's a good barometer. Ryan, what about you?
Honestly, I kind of have to second Charlotte. A lot of it came down to me just only involving films that I was either going to have time and give up time for a rewatch before we did this episode, or stuff that I had at least logged on my Letterboxd at one point or another. Been on there for 5 years, so I was it's usually a good gauge of what I can remember seeing, and kind of just went from there. I think categorizing family film can be tricky if you're not going to go with the by the book definition of no bitch, IMDb says this is a family film. Other than that, it's not a family film. But I honestly didn't have too much difficulty, and now that I know that it's top 10 instead of top 5, I'm having a great time.
Let's go. I love that. I had a similar approach to both of you, where it was a mix of nostalgic feeling and determining what films did I love when I was 5, but also films that I love when I turned 25, so that there's not a huge gap between these films that I could just keep revisiting. And I think that's what determines my favorites, ones that I've watched within the last 5 years, as Rye said. Not all of these films on my list are quality per se. Some of them are, especially the first few, are pure nostalgic bait, but fuck it, it's our list. So I'm not, as you quoted IMDb, we're not going to be pleasing the IMDb patrons, which is totally fine with me. Honorable mentions. Do you guys want to do that? I know, Rye, you said you had quite a few you wanted to go through. Since we do have, I will say we're doing 10 films each, so bear with us. It's going to be a long, crowded episode, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Honestly, with now that just with putting everything in perspective that we're doing 30 films, I feel like some of my honorable mentions are just movies that are going to be on other people's lists. So I'm kind of chilled,
okay,
not reading mine yet, at least.
Sure. Charlotte, are you cool? Do you have any?
I guess I wanted to preface with saying, on my list, I tried to limit myself to one by each, major animation studio, because I felt like it would be boring if my list was, half Studio Ghibli or half Disney, or, filled with Laika or whatever. But honorable mentions for me, I have Watership Down, because, again, don't want to get sued by someone I'm babysitting. Every other Ghibli movie, every other Laika film, the animated Hobbit, Anastasia, and The Dark Crystal.
Anastasia is a great one.
Mm-hmm.
Still have not seen that one.
love Don Bluth. You would really like it, Ryan.
I
It seems very
know.
you core.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing. I almost saw it on Broadway, but I was like, I don't know what this is. So I
They
didn't.
don't have Rasputin in the Broadway version, so
They
you're
sure
good.
don't. They sure don't.
Yeah, Don Bluth was a big, like, the American Tail was big when I was a kid. Yeah, just his
Wait, what was the
style.
first one?
American Tail, Land
Oh, okay.
Before Time. Like, those were, I didn't see Anastasia till later, but that's a wonderful little movie. And like he was just his style is kind of imprinted on my like late 90s, early 2000s childhood for sure. Great. I don't really have any honorable mentions either, so let's just like dive into the top 10. Charlotte, it's you're a first time guest as per tradition. Would you like to start with your number 10 film?
Who am I to go against tradition?
Thank you so much.
Yeah. My number 10 is Jim Henson's Labyrinth. I know people in the Discord have a lot of disdain for this movie, but I love David Bowie. I love David Bowie in tight pants, and I love puppets. So why wouldn't I love this movie? I just think it's a lot of fun. I actually didn't discover it until I was a teenager, but I've always been obsessed with the person who did set design and creature design on it, Brian Froud. I grew up with his like art books on fairies and goblins, and so like when I did finally watch it when I was like 13 or 14, I became immediately obsessed, and now I watch this movie like probably at least once a year now. The music's fun. I think Jennifer Connelly's great. Set design is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
That and Dark Crystal were like two very special movies for me as a kid too. Just like the world building and the set design and the imagination behind Frank Oz and all of everyone involved. Like the set designs are just immaculate. So those are so just beautiful gothic imagery. Jim Henson, of course.
Yeah.
Love him.
I've gotten to go see a bunch of the puppets in person in Atlanta because they have a museum of puppetry. And it's like so cool getting to see them like in person and stuff.
I would love to see that next time I go to Atlanta and to see Carlos.
Oh,
and you. Amazing pick. Rye, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. I honestly, my latter half of my top 5 out of my top 10 is not very organized, but it's just kind of filled with a bunch of films, but whatever.
Me too. Same here.
But my number 10 is going to be Robert Zemeckis, Steven Spielberg's Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh, lovely.
God, I don't have too much to say about it. I think especially for when the film came out, which I have no idea when it came out, but it doesn't matter. The hybrid of 2D animation and live action never feels overtly gimmicky. It is really imaginative and mature. I mean, it's based on a book called like it's something very similar to the movie's title.
Yeah.
And it's like a dark crime, like noir, but it's given this like really incredible energy and look. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Amazing film. I actually didn't see that till I was like over the age of 18, which is kind of which is a weird, because I feel like a lot of people grew up with that film, but so imaginative and just so much fun, just so infectiously like inventive on every level. And like Bob Hoskins and the neo-noir elements, Jessica Rabbit, it's just all so perfect. Charlotte, have you seen it?
Yes, I grew up watching it and stuff.
Lucky.
And I feel like Jessica Rabbit is always like ingrained in my subconscious.
Yes,
she is. Her style, like her aura is like, it's such a great homage to like the femme fatale character, but also elevating it to like modern times. And Robert Zemeckis and Spielberg, did a lot of great things for kids too, just producing stuff. So amazing movie. I love that movie.
It makes such great use of the medium too, I feel.
Oh my god, yeah. And they've tried to recapture that hybrid thing that Rye was talking about with like the Chip and Dale movie, which I was not a big fan of. Trying to recreate that magic, but God, it's just such a lightning in a bottle thing. Just such a great film. Um, Sweet. I'll go next. This is where I deviate from high art in a way because this film is utter camp trash that I love, but and it could be considered a trilogy, but I'm just gonna go with the first one. The first Spy Kids movie was a huge movie. It was the first movie I remember seeing in theaters. I was 4 years old, and I just remember coming back and like recreating the scenes with my siblings and stuff. So it was just a huge like phenomenon for me with like movies and just kind of like imagination in general. It kind of sparks some things. And you watch it now, like it's impossible for me to divorce myself from that magical feeling as a kid because like the green screen sucks, the CGI and everything, and the tone is pretty dated, but I don't give a shit. It's still, to me, it's like I would show my kids that. I think it's pretty unproblematic in terms of its themes and everything. And just like just a great wish fulfillment movie for kids, and teaches sort of this affirmation to believe in yourself at a young age. So and yeah, that's really it. They don't make kids movies that are as zany and that sort of almost adult themed anymore, and like that's why I was like early 2000s Spy Kids is like the perfect example of that. Have you guys seen it or give a shit about Spy Kids? I wouldn't be surprised if the answer is no.
It was on repeat in my house as a kid, so
love that.
I just haven't seen it in so long, but those movies are always a good time. They're so fun. And isn't Alan Cummings in? I don't know if y'all. I'm obsessed with him.
Me too.
So the fact that he's in those movies and still looks back fondly on them, like publicly, I think that says a lot about like, because to publicly 20 years later into your career still take this like silly trilogy of films that were like targeted towards kids and still be like, yeah, I'm proud of that. People still walk up to me on the street and are like, you're a big part of my childhood. It's like, that's definitely, I think that's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it would make a fun drinking game to like take a shot every time like a famous Hispanic actor makes a cameo in it.
Yeah.
Oh, Danny Trejo is fantastic in it. And also, what you're saying about Alan Cumming, like I feel like that was like his sort of Willy Wonka performance, where he's like he reached so many different generations, and he kind of was like given the authority to go all out. And as an adult, I really treasure that performance, and like, yeah, just so wonderful. I even like the sequels, even though they get progressively more stupid. But by the third one, the third one is a simulation video game sort of thing, and it's like. It's such incredible. A dated concept, but I love it. Finally brave enough to say it on this podcast. I love the Spy Kids trilogy so much. On that note, Charlotte, what's your number 9?
Hunchback of Notre Dame from Walt Disney. It's dark, it's gritty, it's everything. It's like the antithesis of what you think a Disney movie should be, and then like it still works so well for some reason. And like, I don't know, I think it's probably the ballsiest that Disney has ever been with a feature. I fucking love it. Hellfire is such a good song. Like the music in it is incredible. The animation is beautiful. They probably have my favorite annoying sidekicks of any Disney movie in the gargoyles. Though I always love the annoying sidekicks that everyone hates anyways. I even love Jar Jar Binks for fuck's sake.
Love that.
I recently rewatched Hunchback because besides just really enjoying the score, particularly by Stephen Schwartz, Stephen Schwartz and I think Alan Menken wrote the score for Hunchback. And Stephen Schwartz is also famous for writing Broadway musicals like Wicked. So like he wrote the music, and it's been expanded upon on stage. And I just think it's like absolutely what Charlotte said, like very mature, dark, and like treats its audience like, oh no, baby, we'll sugarcoat it because we're Disney, but like you'll know what's going on. And I think it's pretty great.
Sure.
I mean, it's a movie about a fucking priest wanting to commit genocide because he's too horny. We love that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so true. I didn't even think about it that way. But I always had a soft spot as a kid for the Disney movies that were like secretly so wicked and fucked up. Like I remember watching that and Sword in the Stone as a kid, and the Black Cauldron too,
Yes.
which I just thought were so like darkly themed and just like had this tone that was like above my age range that I always just really enjoyed. And that's like a great hallmark for Disney when they got a little darker and a little more daring, like in the 70s and the 80s for sure. So
I want a director's cut of Black Cauldron so bad because apparently
Yes.
they
Yeah.
edited so much shit down for
Mhm.
that movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's so true. Would love to I would love to see that. Rye, what's your number 9?
Okay, so my number 9 is I think it's going to be the most recent film on at least my list. It's a 2022 animated film. It is a sequel that everyone thought was going to bomb, and rightfully so. I thought it was going to bomb as well, but it has an incredible screenplay, a mature yet child-friendly sense of humor, great themes. It is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish from last year, and I think that the DreamWorks putting out a movie like this in 2022, when everyone thought that they were kind of done and over with, was whoever pitched this plot is a genius, in my opinion. I think it handles a lot of adult themes and topics, but still having it be like quick, action-packed, funny, mature, edgy, and I think it's really, really, really great. And if you hadn't seen it yet because you think it's stupid, think again, I guess.
I haven't seen it yet, not for the fact that I think it's stupid. I'm just a lazy motherfucker and I haven't watched it.
Same.
But
I've seen it 4 times.
4 times. Wow. Okay.
Oh, bitch. Oh, honey, wait. I got the Walmart
You have
Blu-ray. Come with this shit. It came with the dog guy as well, who, by the way, there are characters in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish that you see first and you're like, oh my God, I'm going to absolutely hate every scene that they're in.
Right.
And they win you over. Every character wins you over.
Love that.
It's great.
Love that. I mean, I've heard nothing but just joyful, amazing, glowing reviews about it. So it's on me. And like, I know I've even just seen the trailer. The animation looks pretty next level gorgeous.
It's really, really great.
So who would have thought we'd have 2 Antonio Banderas movies already? Family films list. I will watch it for you. I promise. I will watch it soon. It's been on my list. Maybe it's the fact that there was a first one I never saw, but I don't think it fucking matters at all.
I never saw that shit.
I don't think most people did. But awesome. Great pick. My number 9 film is stop motion film, directed by Nick Park, which is Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbits.
Oh.
Which I absolutely love. I love movies that capture the essence of October when I was a kid so much. I mean, Halloween was always my favorite time of year, and this movie just encapsulated just the spirit and like the gothic sort of, feeling of Halloween. But also geared just so much towards kids, because like this whole plot of this film is like very, very adventurous and very simple. But yet the animation is so artistic and so detailed. Like I just can't fathom. Obviously, like stop motion has elevated itself since then, like over time, just getting better and better and better as time goes on. But like just the miniatures and just the attention to detail of everything in this movie, just so gorgeous. The voice actors are so funny, and like Helena Bonham Carter, Ray Fiennes, the writing's so witty. It was just such a big movie for me as a kid. I remember going to like 3 or 4 birthday parties that were centered around this movie. And again, just the whole, before getting into like actual horror movies, like a few years later, like this was my shit, like these Tim Burton-esque sort of stop motion movie, like James and the Giant Peach is another one that I was just absolutely obsessed with, Henry Selick, Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. So, but this was always my favorite. And also the shorts that Nick Park directed prior to this movie with Wallace and Gromit are just absolutely perfect. And he did Chicken Run, which is a movie I also adored as a kid. So yeah, Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Charlotte, you next.
Okay. My number 8 is Matilda. I love Matilda so much. It's just like the essence of childhood to me and stuff. And I love that it's not afraid to be honest with children in a way. You know, adults are sometimes the bad guys in your life and whatnot. It's a sad truth, unfortunately, and sometimes even our own families are. I feel like kids need that sort of representation to let them know that they're not alone if they're feeling that way. And I think Matilda does a beautiful job at that. Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman are fabulous in it. Hilariously stupid. The Trunchbull is iconic and terrifying. My worst fear was being locked in the chokey as a kid.
Yeah.
I just feel like it really does like hit all those notes that you need and stuff if you're like a nerdy, bookish kid who's maybe a little bit scared of the world.
Absolutely. That was a big school movie for me too. We watched that in school like so many times. And as a chubby kid, I always feared the chocolate cake scene so much, like
That
deep in my
scene's fucked up.
bones. That's a straight like torture scene in a kid's movie. I love it.
Yeah.
It's so perfect. Do you ever by chance see the remake?
No.
The musical?
Out of curiosity. Yeah, did you, Rye?
The musical one?
Yeah, the musical one.
So not to go down the rabbit hole, I know it's wildly successful stage musical, and like especially in London, and they made it into a film and they cut it down, and it didn't get as great of reviews. I didn't watch it because I didn't give a shit about the music, but yeah. But
it
also
is successful, yeah.
Didn't Danny DeVito direct the original Matilda movie?
He did.
Mm-hmm.
That shit blows my mind.
I love that short Italian man.
What a guy.
He's got a great resume as a director. Like Death to Smoochie and War of the Roses are both really solid. And yeah, I love him so much too. Just such a treasure.
What a guy.
What a guy. Okay. All right, Rye, you're up next.
All right. My next pick is Tim Burton, Johnny Depp, Helena Bonham Carter joint. It is Corpse Bride.
Nice.
I, in middle school, was like, I'm not one of those kids that likes like dark shit. And then I was like, you know what? I don't know. But I was like, I do want to watch Tim Burton movie because I really liked Edward Scissorhands growing up, which I would have put on my list if it wasn't rated PG-13. But I did see it as a child. So say with that as you will. But I really loved the heart and the music in Corpse Bride, as well as the animation. I think it's really, really fantastic. And yeah, that's my pick. That's all I can really say.
That's Rycore right there if I've ever seen it.
We would have fought in middle school, Ryan, because I was definitely the spooky kid.
No, you would have just bullied me. There would have been no fighting.
I still bully you, Ryan.
Just bully you for not liking Roald Dahl stuff.
Yeah.
Be like, let me figure out my sexuality before we fight about literature. I'm begging y'all.
Horses Oscar Wilde down your throat.
Yeah.
There you go.
I haven't seen Corpse Bride since I was legit in middle school, so I owe that a rewatch. I'm sure it's Henry Selick.
End up at Remains of the Day, Jake.
True.
I love that movie. It's so fun. I just love the little maggot dude. He makes me so happy. The Peter Lorre maggot.
Yes, love him.
He's fabulous.
And I was obsessed. I was obsessed with Helena Bonham Carter growing up. I was like, oh, she. Everyone when I watched Harry Potter, they were like, "What's your favorite character?" I was like, Bellatrix, because she scares the shit out of me.
Bellatrix is.
She's a bad bitch.
She's an S tier like Harry Potter character, just perfect. Yeah, she's about a bitch. I loved her too. She was like the first actress I truly loved as a kid. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Harry Potter and Tim Burton joints, as you said. She's the shit. She's the best. Cool. My number 8 is actually Charlotte's number 8. It is Matilda.
Hey.
How could I not? As a kid, Roald Dahl was kind of the one that inspired me to want to pursue writing as a career and stuff like that. So I owe a lot to his early works and stuff. And Matilda was always my favorite book. But later on, seeing the adaptation, it's so good. It's just it captures the Roald Dahl spirit almost as good as any other adaptation, in my opinion. And like you just said, like so much terrifying imagery as a kid that kind of just sticks with you. Like, and the notion, I love what you said about, realizing that adults, even within your own family circle could be the villain of your own world. I think is such a powerful resonant message with a lot of kids, a very taboo sort of subtext to, other things, unfortunately, for that, kids deal with all the time. But the movie manages to be so life affirming at the same time, like the very end is such a wonderful journey that she goes on. And like, I was a weird kid. I was a quiet kid. And I always just, she was like one of the first fictional characters I heavily related to and, just resonated with me so deep. So, and like you said, we stand a Danny DeVito, that short little man. Love him so much. Yeah, great movie. I rewatch it like once or twice a year. Just so wonderful. And we covered Matilda pretty good. So
the Matilda recap episode.
I would love to do one. I would love to do it. I would love to do a Danny DeVito deep dive into his filmography episode. If anyone's out there, hit me up.
I could do an entire episode on Batman Returns, so I'm down.
Never seen it.
Batman Returns is the best Batman movie ever.
I concur.
In my opinion. Oh, we love the Penguin. Charlotte, I think we're on number 7?
7.
Yes, number 7.
My number 7 is going back to a man that we spoke about during honorable mentions. It's Don Bluth. It's The Secret of Nim. I think the animation in this film is particularly beautiful. It's my personal favorite Don Bluth film. It's scary, but also very sweet and sort of like the opposite of Matilda in a lot of ways, because it's so much just about a mother's love and whatnot, and the lengths she'll go for her children and whatnot. And I don't know, it's just fun to watch. Like, it's one of those movies that I loved as a kid that I watch now and I still love as an adult, because there is the nostalgia factor, I think, but you can still know whether or not something's critically good or not. And I feel like Secret of Nim stands the test of time. The fucking great owl is terrifying, I think. And just the very real fear of being such a tiny little creature in such a big world.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
I haven't seen it in over a decade, so I'm pretty foggy. Ryan, have you seen it, Ryan?
Same here with you. I know I've seen it. I think I saw it in class,
I think so too.
sometime. But I definitely need to rewatch it because I know from what I remember, the art style is beautiful, and I know it deals with a lot of heavy, mature topics, and it's spooky, but not like boo spooky, I guess.
It was my ecological pick for the list.
Ooh, okay. There we go. Nice. Don Bluth's movies were like extra heavy when you look back. Like American Tail is like the process of like immigration and like how hot button issue that was in like the 80s, and Land Before Time deals with mortality. Like they're all so deeply, rooted in themes that were, as kids, you don't really see that in movies anymore either. But yeah, I love Don Bluth so much. Rye, number 7.
So my number 7 was Charlotte's pick as well in the past, but I had to put it in there still. Hunchback of Notre Dame is also on my list. I could elaborate more, but it would just be about like the score, and I don't even know how to read music, so I'd just be talking out of my ass. So
We love that. Nice and short.
Yeah.
You guys,
I remember.
I really want to revisit that now after you guys have spoken about it. But go ahead, Charlotte.
Oh, I remember being a kid and the scene where they're looking up into the bell and just like being so mesmerized by that and wanting to go to Paris just to look inside the beautiful bells of Notre Dame.
I actually had never seen this movie until about like 2-3 years ago.
Oh.
Like never saw it as a kid. But when I did watch it, I was like, oh my God, like I'm kind of glad I'm the age I was. Because I was like, I think so much of this sort of went over my head, and I don't know. And it's also based on a Victor Hugo novel, who the same author who wrote Les Mis. So there's a lot of parallels in the structure of like Hunchback and Les Mis as like pieces of musical theater. It's interesting. It's usually very spiritual and have a lot of misery, which is interesting for something for Disney to have adapted. But I'm glad they did.
Could always count on you, Rye, to find the parallels with some musical theater. That's why we have you on here.
Yes. For the musical theater episode, I'm holding you to
it. You got to give me a list of homework. You got to catch me up to speed for sure.
I will. I've been making, shout out to Perry. I've been making Perry watch a bunch of movies based on plays that he's never heard of.
Yeah, he did tell me that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. What did he watch recently?
Night Mother. It's Sissy Spacek and Anne Bancroft. And it's heavy. It's a lot, but it's really good.
I'm sold by that cast alone.
It's like a chamber piece. Long story short, when a daughter lives with her mom, and one night she's just doing her laundry, and she's like, "Hey, mom, I just want to let you know, by the end of the night, to keep it YouTube friendly, I won't be here tomorrow. And I want to let you know, but I want you to like spend the night with me, and we can talk if you want to." And then it's just the two of them talking. Yeah. So
that sounds great, though. That sounds
it's great.
If I need a fuck me up movie night, I'll watch that.
Oh yeah, an hour 20.
Nice. My number 7 is a Pixar movie because how could I avoid any of? I wish I had followed Charlotte's rule of one film per animation studio, but I couldn't really contain myself because I have 2 of my favorite movies of all time are from Pixar. And the first one I'll talk about is Brad Bird's masterpiece, The Incredibles. Ratatouille was a close second. That movie means a lot to me. But The Incredibles I just think is the perfect kids / adults, bridging the gap between kid and adult pictures. I think one of the best of all time. Because as a kid, watching that movie, it's like it gave me like a weird window into like the complexities of marriage and like the working, picturesque husband and wife, sort of couple being sort of more of a facade and not like and not like sort of a realistic depiction of what marriage actually is, all dressed up like with a superhero movie. I think it's just so wonderful. And like, I just love so much about it, like the whole 70s, 60s sort of aesthetic, and like the music is just so perfect. That jazzy score by, what's his name? I'm blanking on the composer, Michael Giacchino. Wonderful composer. And just I'm a sucker for portraits of family life being true to life and like have an authentic feeling to them. I'm not a superhero fan at all, but this movie, kind of using that notion of superhero powers, kind of mirroring the realities and like the sort of emotional gaps of our characters, I think is such a genius thing to do in a kid's movie. I love the animation too. I think it's some of their best 2D animation they've ever done. And yeah, I just think Brad Bird, especially in those early years, was just quite the genius over at Disney Pixar. So yeah, I had to include it.
Edna Mode is an icon.
Yes.
Edna Mode's the best. Voiced by Brad Bird also too.
So funny.
Yeah. So yeah, the typical pick, but it was a must on my list. So circling back to Charlotte for number 6, what you got?
My number 6 is a movie that Ryan omitted because it's rated PG-13. I didn't realize it was rated PG-13. It shouldn't have been, but Edward
I'm making the ugly.
Oh, I didn't know that was PG-13 either.
Yeah, I fucking
Wow.
love Edward Scissorhands. I remember
Oh,
watching it when I was like 3, I think, and fucking loving it. Such a great introduction to like the Frankenstein concept and stuff. And it's just I think it's Tim Burton's best in my opinion and whatnot. It's so
yeah.
beautiful. I love movies that work both as Christmas movies and then Halloween movies, but aren't really either and stuff. Um, there's just something so like nostalgic about it. Like it's one of those movies where you watch it as a kid and I think you feel nostalgic for a time that doesn't even exist for you and whatnot. This idea of the what are they? Avon lady and stuff coming to your
Mm,
door and beautiful hedge bushes being trimmed and stuff, and then also that dark undercurrent of societies like that seem so picturesque but then do these monstrous things. um
mm.
I think the cinematography is beautiful. I think the design is great. Winona Ryder and Johnny Depp are both fantastic in it. I really wish they would have stayed together and had beautiful babies.
Amen. Danny Elfman's score for Edward Scissorhands, it's particularly the
Mm.
ice dance um,
Mm,
piece. I fucking love that piece of music, like, and I love that movie a lot. It was one of like those like only reason I really watched it when I was younger was like, oh, it's rated PG-13. I'm gonna watch this, and then I watched it and I was like, oh wait, this is really good.
yeah, the music is absolutely beautiful.
I love it.
Yes. What some would say the quintessential Tim Burton film out there, and I would have to say that might be true. Just the
That's it.
whole just the design of everything from the world, but also to Johnny Depp's character himself is just like immaculate and just one of a kind. I wish he would go back to the practicality of Edward Scissorhands days and Beetlejuice days for sure. But yeah, I love, and that's it's such a good point about Burton too, is like Halloween and Christmas kind of marriage together. Like even in
Mhm.
Batman Returns, in a way, like
Yeah.
I fucking love that so much. We love Tim Burton, at least early Tim Burton for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Rye.
Sweeney Todd and lower.
Yes, yeah,
Don't get me
absolutely.
started on Sweeney Todd. You don't
Good
want
thing, or
that.
is that a bad rant you have about it, or is
No,
positive?
listen. However, people want to digest pieces of theater, whether it be in a remake that makes all the music sound a little different and takes out anything complicated, or it be literally on stage. If you like Sweeney Todd, I'm happy to hear it. Honestly, I know a lot of people that are like, "It's not the show." I was like, "Yeah, no shit, it's a Tim Burton movie."
Isn't it on stage right now? There's a
Yeah,
revival of it.
with Josh Groban right now.
I
It
saw him.
looks
Yeah,
fantastic, the new
yeah.
stage show.
It looks amazing. Yeah, I saw the
I
thing.
saw it off Broadway. I've seen it 4 times, and it's a long show.
Mhm.
So, but yeah.
On that note, I think you're next, right?
Oh yeah, shit, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
So for the majority of 6 through number 1, I don't own physical copies of them, which made me have a full existential crisis of like, what are my priorities?
Oh,
Anyway,
it's okay.
my number 6 is, in my opinion, the funniest, and probably one of the more underrated Disney films ever released. It is The Emperor's New Groove.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this film is fucking ridiculously funny. The
Mm-hmm.
production of it is an absolute mess. The way that this movie came out to be what it is was completely like nearly on accident and by chance, because there were so many rewrites and like people dropping out and like interference with like the whole plot. It's just so much happened, and for us to even get like the like hour and 10 hour and 15 minutes of comic gold that is delivered straight to your kids' ears, and
Yeah.
there's nothing problematic about it. It's like a buddy like cop movie or like an odd couple movie for kids, and oh, guess what? One of the characters is a fucking llama. So it's Eartha Kitt's fantastic. Patrick Wahlberg, I believe, is the actor who
Kronk.
plays Kronk. He's incredible.
Yeah.
David debate. I'm trying not to look at the page, trying to be a tryhard. I literally just could, but they're all incredible. And I just think it's a really solid comedy that works on a lot of levels, and I think it's really ahead of its time. So I'd go with that one.
Totally. It is. I think it's like the most jokes per minute, Disney film that there is. It is just so fucking funny.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's such high energy comedy too, and I love that. It's just like the unrelenting. I might watch that too.
It's nonstop.
There's a sequel to it?
Yes. Oh fuck! I was gonna get the Blu-ray. There's Kronk's New Groove.
Right, that's what it's called, Kronk. Yeah.
There was a TV show too, wasn't there?
There certainly
was indeed. I remember that too.
Emperor's New School.
I think yeah. We love a school show, don't we?
Oh, how could we forget? But yeah.
That's a great one. So my number 6, excuse me. It's a Disney live action film, starring the wonderful Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan, Freaky Friday.
Hey.
Who has not grown up with that movie if they're in our age range? Just on repeat in my house a lot growing up, just a lot. And as an adult, even maybe more emotionally resonant as I get older. Just the dynamic, mother-daughter dynamic is so, in some ways, reminds me a lot of my sister and my mom. So I always, get a big kick watching it with the both of them, like kind of similar to like watching Lady Bird, because they're, very bickery. But always come, and hug each other out in the end, which I just find is one of the sweetest things ever. Is that mother-daughter dynamic. So, and funny as hell. I think Jamie Lee Curtis is like gold, like absolute gold in this movie. Just so fucking like when there's the montage where she gets like her makeup done and a haircut and like buys a whole new wardrobe and drives this kick-ass car. Like just such a perfect role for her, because I've always found her just secretly so fucking funny. And Lindsay Lohan also just aces in this movie. Got an amazing early 2000s alt rock soundtrack, of course. Which they utilize a lot. Chad Michael Murray's fucking hot as hell in this movie, of course. It's just got everything for a kid's live action Disney movie. Just a wonderful life affirming message towards the end, and just I'm a sucker for sort of heightened comedies like that. So yeah. Freaky Friday's the best.
Oh yeah. And it's a remake.
Yeah, I was gonna say the remake is also very good. Is it Jodie Foster? Is she? I believe someone famous.
Jodie Foster was the original one. Yeah.
Yeah. Jodie Foster plays the daughter in the original.
Never seen it.
But I love Mark Waters so much, and he did Mean Girls, he did Freaky Friday, something else. But yeah, just a movie that I'll watch forever. So
hell yeah.
Welcome back to the Kino Family Films episode. We're in the top 5 now, so getting to I didn't really rank my movies in terms of any sort of preference, but I would say my 5 to 1 are my favorites of these. So I get really real passionate about these top 5. So
yeah,
Charlotte, you can kick us off with your number 5.
Number 5 is one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's, a children's movie for adults, or a movie more so about childhood. And I don't feel like we have that many great ones of those. It's Spike Jonze's Where the Wild Things Are, which I have a plushie of.
Oh, amazing.
Based off of Maurice Sundak's fantastic children's book and stuff. And I think this is really, the prime example of how you adapt a pictures book into a feature-length film, in that it is so true to the book, but it is also completely its own thing as well and whatnot. Um, the set design, the character designs are, fantastic. So true to Sondak's style and whatnot. And then the themes of childhood, being scared, acting out because you're angry and because you're scared because the sun's going to eat the world one day and stuff. Or because your parents are going through a messy divorce, or all of those things, and thinking about how, the ways these affect children and whatnot are all in it, but done so in a way that, adults, of course, are going to pick up larger, but also in a way that children can understand, I think is really beautiful. And it's just, I think it's so important for parents to watch films like this because, I think when we're adults, it's so easy to forget what it's like to be a little person in this, world and whatnot. And I think it does a really beautiful job at, displaying that. And, we're all got a little wild thing in us. And who doesn't love the quote, "Don't go, I'll eat you up, I love you so."
Amen.
Great quote.
It's a great one. I ashamedly haven't seen the Spike Jonze adaptation.
Me neither.
So I've always wanted to.
So good.
It looks amazing. And the picture book as a kid was one of my absolute favorite books. So I will get on that. And I forgot that was Spike Jonze. So when you led with Spike Jonze, I'm like, what the fuck is she going to say? John Malkovich. So love that. That's just one of the greatest books I can remember from a kid. So
Her is my favorite children's movie, actually.
Totally, yeah. Love Spike Jonze's Goodnight Moon adaptation too.
No. Oh wait.
Awesome. Bri, you're number 5.
My number 5, in my opinion, is a masterpiece. It is exactly what, and it'll all make sense in a second, but if you wanted somebody to make a movie out of this show, you would want nothing more and nothing less than what Steven Hillenburg in 2004 delivered with the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, which is my number 5. It is, to me, the reason no other movie about SpongeBob or using these characters that work so well on television and have worked so well for over 2 decades now is because nobody could beat the passion and the voice cast and the songwriting and just like the full like grown characters, because the movie was initially supposed to be like kind of like a series finale farewell before they stopped the show, but it was renewed because of how successful it was. And it's kind of insane to also think that for as well as it flows, this is the director's first feature film ever. Like, and I just think that if they were robbed for at least a nomination at the Oscars, I get it, it's the fucking SpongeBob movie, but like there's some good shit in there. So that's my number 5.
Hey, the Jimmy Neutron movie got an Oscar nomination. Why couldn't the SpongeBob movie gotten it,
Exactly. It's not like they were unfamiliar with fucking Nickelodeon.
One of the most iconic videos from the Oscars is like when Shrek won Best Animated Feature and they pan to like Jimmy Neutron animated in the crowd. I was like, wait, what the fuck? That got nominated?
So funny.
So funny to me, yeah. But amazing movie, of course. I love that movie too. Kind of gives you every bit of, SpongeBob wonder in one package. So how could
Absolutely.
you not, and just perfectly paced, yada yada yada. It's so good.
It looks really good for a SpongeBob movie too.
Oh my goodness, yeah, especially from 2004.
Looks
great.
Did you see that in theaters? Were you old enough to go to the theaters?
I was not. I was 5, and I didn't actually start watching SpongeBob till like 5th grade. And then I was like, "Oh, this shit's funny." And then I guess the rest is history.
The rest is history. That was like I was 7 when that came out, and I remember my parents are, more on the conservative side, so they were kind of
Yes, I
like,
knew people whose parents would not let them watch
yeah,
SpongeBob, and I was like, Katie, my mom said, I was like, don't listen to them. Like,
yeah, you should, they shouldn't, yeah, but like I would sneak SpongeBob into my TV rotation behind their backs, and when the movie had came out, I think I got invited to like to see it with somebody, and they were just like they protested pretty hard, so I didn't see it till it came out on DVD and fucking loved it.
no, Baby Jake not getting to go to the fucking birthday party.
I know
What the hell?
what a travesty, right?
Did SpongeBob make you guys gay? Is that what happened?
Oh, I was
Who the fuck
always
knows?
relating to SpongeBob.
What?
You what?
I was always relating to SpongeBob, and usually my friends, the people that I usually tend to hang out with, usually relate to Patrick quite a bit.
Bye, Mr. Krabs. Bye, Squidward. Bye, Squidward. You said Squidward twice. I like
Squidward.
Squidward.
That was the moment we all knew. We all were like, holy shit.
SpongeBob. God bless him. Shout out to Tom Kenny.
Mm-hmm. So we love Tom Kenny. We love him.
Love Ice King.
SpongeBob literally premiered the year I was born.
What year was 99?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Shit.
Fucking fetus.
I can't get into it now. We'll do it after the list.
Okay. I'm hanging on that. Yeah, I'm excited to know what that is. But my number 5 film is also, I believe, a masterpiece.
Shit.
It is part of the Disney Renaissance era that I grew up loving. It is 1991's Beauty and the Beast, which was always just on repeat as a kid. But I think in hindsight, I think is Disney's best representation of a princess, just because Belle is she's very well. First, she's illiterate. She loves to read. She promotes literature, which I think is really cool. She's really selfless. Like everything she does is like in favor like of her father and the town she lives in. She's just like the perfect role model, I think, for like not just young girls, but just kids in general. And she's just the best. And the movie itself, I just think is flawless in every way. The animation, the music is just to die for. The whole set and the design of the castle is just like, just incredible and just so dark and mysterious, but also gets so vibrant at times as the emotions of the beast sort of come out of him, which it's always so beautiful to me. And my favorite Disney villain of all time might be controversial, but it is Gaston for sure. Is my favorite. He's just so fucking funny. That machismo sort of attitude, and like the fact that he eats like 4 dozen eggs every day. His musical number is absolutely amazing. I could go on. I just love this movie. I think it's pitch perfect, like Disney pop entertainment, and so much richness for both kids and adults alike. Just the best. Just the best.
That's fucking awesome. It was nominated for Best Picture, dude.
It's the first animated movie, right, to be nominated for Best Picture,
which is nuts.
So well deserved, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the remake. I'm actually not gonna say anything about that, but I was very upset. I'm so upset that they remade that, like, first and foremost, like the one perfect Disney princess movie, in my opinion. Whatever. What the fuck ever.
What the fuck?
We'll try to be optimistic about Disney today. Charlotte, number 4, please.
Number 4 is Coraline. I think the animation in this movie is so fucking good. Like, stop motion at its best, in my opinion. It really embodies that essence of like the uncanny, both in its like, themes and in its aesthetic. I think, it's so interesting to see these dolls being creeped out by dolls. It's like so meta in that weird way. I think it's better than the book, if I'm being honest. I just think there's so much richness to this movie and its aesthetic, and then also just like, that I feel like all children sort of have like that wish of like, what if we could go to another place that is exactly like this one, but absolutely better in every way, and then like take that childhood wish and just sort of twist it to be something awful is like so fucked up, but I love it.
I do too. I love it to death.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. Leica is they're doing the Lord's work, if you ask me. Like everything I've seen they've done is just absolutely fantastic. But I think Coraline is their magnum opus. And yeah, that movie, another window into my family. That was another movie. My sister really was like dying to go see it, and my mom was like, "No, I heard that they sew the mom's like eyes shut and stuff like that, like really graphic imagery." And she didn't let my sister see it till like way later. And it became like it's like one of her favorite films. So shout out to Selena.
Hey.
That movie's a masterpiece, though, in my opinion. It is just immaculate what they accomplished with it. It's so good. Yeah, Rye, you're number 4.
All right, my number 4 is a Disney film from 2002. It is one that I've seen countless times. I've rewatched it twice recently, including like 2 days ago. It has an almost, maybe this is controversial for me to say, almost nonverbal protagonist, or at least secondary protagonist. Which means a lot for like a film to have such an impact on, I think, a lot of people, and a character to not only be funny but also immensely relatable and not really very verbal in a kids movie is something that I think is overlooked far too often. My number 4 is probably one of my favorite Disney movies ever, Lilo and Stitch.
Oh yeah.
I think it takes a pretty like nuanced and realistic look at like how human beings act in situations. Like Nani and Lilo are sisters, and Nani has to take over as a mother figure for like a young girl who already has a lot of troubles that you can kind of tell there were troubles prior to this accident, and makes it sound really dark in my reading of it. But there's a lot of like really incredible images in this film, including Stitch getting into the first bed he ever had and reading The Ugly Duckling and feeling that human emotion that everyone on Earth can relate to. And now that he's home, it's like, it's super like, it's adorable. I think it's really funny. I think the watercolor aesthetic art animation for like underwater and the creature designs, I just think it's great. I have this, but hey,
nice.
Yeah. That's my pick.
Love that. I love that movie quite a bit growing up. I always got a kick out of the 2 aliens that are like dispatched to go get him. It's like
Cleekly and Jumba.
There you go. Thank you.
There you go.
Those guys are a riot.
I was definitely more of a Cleekly.
Cleekly is a trans icon.
Yes. Charlotte out here spitting facts. As always.
Lovely movie. I didn't even think about that until I haven't seen it forever, but like the whole notion of like that guardianship that her sister has over her, it's like, and there's like really dark implications you didn't think about. Yeah, I never really thought about that. That's really cool that they did that.
Yeah, rewatch it. It's like, it's literally about like a broken, like a currently broken family trying to pick up the pieces before Child Protective Services and aliens come and ruin their lives. And then it all gets wrapped up in 80 minutes or something. It's just like, how did they make it work so well?
Isn't the DCFS person like his name's like Mr. Bubbles or something?
Oh yes.
Cobra Bubbles.
Cobra Bubbles.
I love that. That's so funny. Yeah, I love that movie so much as a kid. I even watched the TV show that was like subsequent on Disney.
Yes.
I think I watched
Oh
that too.
yes.
Love that. There was my
Oh,
favorite alien was the guy who's obsessed with sandwiches. I forgot his name.
bruh, that explains a lot.
It does. It does.
I remember playing that game on DisneyChannel.com where you'd have to make the sandwiches with him running around.
That was the best fucking game.
I remember that too. Oh god, the good old days of Disney Channel games online. Fuck.
I'm just gonna fucking become a Twitch streamer and play Disney Channel games and get sued immediately.
I would watch though till they sue you. I mean,
you're a real one.
Of course. All right. My number 4. We do a lot of talk about Roald Dahl. And my favorite adaptation they ever did is uncontroversially Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Sorry, I know you were to say another one. I love that one too.
Bro, edit that shit out. That was embarrassing.
No, that would. I led you on. I'm so sorry, Rai.
No, you're good.
But Willy Wonka, just absolute perfection. Also, Rai, I have a little theater in my repertoire. I was in the school play as Oompa Loompa number 5, so I have some experience. I know all the words to the Oompa Loompa songs, or at least I did. So
I have to ask you. Do you know, like, what was your voice range? Like, what were you like?
Pretty similar to what I'm saying, how I'm talking about right now. Like whatever octave this is.
Oh,
so it worked, you know.
Perfect. It's perfect. You know, number 5. Hey, you don't think about number 5 until number 4 kicks it. So
there were 6 of us, so I was at
God
the latter
damn it,
half
really?
of it.
Were any of you actual dwarves?
Maybe in height range, probably, yeah. We were 8th grade. We were hitting the cusp of our
like Hugh Grant.
Just like Hugh
jobs.
Taking fucking from Deep Roy, like what a piece of shit. But yes, the original, I think that Gene Wilder was a treasure. Just the best. I mean, we'll see with Timothy, who knows, but the best portrait of Willy Wonka you could ever imagine. And I think, I'm not a huge fan of Tim Burton's adaptation, even though it is very thematically like linked to the original Roald Dahl book. But the wonderment of the original film, I just think is so ingrained in my sort of mushy and just sensibilities, you know, softy sensibilities, I guess. I just think it's a movie that makes me smile every time I watch it. And the design of the Chocolate Factory is like, couldn't ask for a better set design ever. And just the music, I mean, obviously so iconic. I was an Oompa Loompa, I will say again. So the music means a lot to me. And yeah, I mean, goddamn, what more can I say? It's Willy Wonka. I know Carlos also, he loves this film, so shout out to you, sir. I know you love Willy Wonka, but yeah, that's it.
Pure
imagination.
Pure imagination is just like a staple of like Hollywood music, in my opinion. I think that's a fantastic song. God.
I cried the last time that I watched that and it came on. Like,
yes.
It's just like he starts drinking from the teacup and then he eats it. I'm just like, stop it. Come on.
That scene is imprinted on my mind. I wanted to eat that lemon teacup so bad.
Same. Do you guys do you like the Johnny Depp iteration of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Fucking hate it. It's the downfall of Tim Burton.
It really is. I agree.
I unfortunately remember seeing the remake more than the original, to the disdain of, I think, everybody. I don't think anybody was pleased that I was watching that one, but I think I did. But I love Gene Wilder. I almost called him Gene Hackman. I don't know what the fuck's going on with me.
Gene Hackman's Willy Wonka. I would love that.
Who the fuck is Gene Hackman?
Gene Hackman?
Yeah, I don't remember.
He's fucking the dad of the Tenenbaums, man.
Oh, I still haven't seen her. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's okay. But just picturing that masculine persona of Gene Hackman in the 70s played Willy Wonka. I love that.
That'd be so hype.
But yes, we're not a fan of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory here for the most part, which I love. So thank God. Okay.
Johnny Depp reminds me too much of Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very
there was something evil about that movie. There was something up with that movie.
There's something
with
deeply...
the dentist scenes. I said
everything in this room is edible, including you, my dear children, but that is considered cannibalism, which is frowned upon in most societies.
Burned into my... You could literally pull up my shirt and my tramp stamp would be word for word what you just said. That and the earth says hello, or the sun says hello.
Good morning, Starshine. That's when we all knew the movie was fucked. Like that line reading was
behavior.
Also the opening with like the miniatures like doing that song. I'm like, this movie's fucked. It's like so clear.
It was a lot.
But we digress.
Yeah.
I want to, I don't want to shit talk Timmy too much, but
no, we love Tim.
We love Tim. We love him.
We love him, but I'm a diehard stan, but I don't see it working out well.
Oh, I was saying Tim Burton, but yeah, I think I agree though.
Oh, same.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck he's gonna be singing.
I hope he doesn't sing because
Jake, wake up! It's a musical.
But like literally everyone else could sing besides him, and I would be perfectly
Remember
happy.
That first clip? I need my fucking head to not be cut off. Remember that first clip that was ever released, like when filming started, and he's on that fucking horse or something singing, and it sounded true, and it sounded boo boo nasty. I was like, they better auto-tune it.
They're gonna modify the shit out of his voice. It seems like, but
yeah, Timmy has that constant in between puberty voice.
Yeah, even you watch Doom and it's like like all over the map.
God bless him.
I want a Hugh Grant musical number, just like similar to Paddington 2. Like I would love that. So anyhow, Charlotte, you're next at number 3.
Yes.
My number 3, I think, is what Rye thought your number 4 was going to be. It's my personal favorite Roald Dahl adaptation. It's Wes Anderson's Fantastic Mr. Fox. Love movies about small animals taking on capitalist tyrants. It just encapsulates autumn for me, not Halloween, but autumn. Like we watch this every year for Thanksgiving in my family, and it's so delightful. The cast is amazing. The voice cast is so good. Wes Anderson's direction is impeccable. The set and creature designs is great, and I think it could have been creepy, but somehow avoids that, which I feel is sometimes really hard to do with stop motion. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's a perfect movie, in my opinion.
Hell yeah.
It is a perfect movie. It is. And I think you can make the argument as Wes Anderson's magnum opus as well. Definitely the film I've rewatched the most out of all of his filmography. So
same.
Tied with the Royal Tenenbaums for me.
Yes. Yeah, those are my top 2 as well.
I just want to put it on the record that Life Aquatic is his best.
Oh, are you standing in for Carlos right now?
No, I'm standing for myself.
Okay.
Carlos is just there. No, I love that movie.
It is great. No, it's a great one. I thought you were going to say French Dispatch, with the fact that you have a giant ass poster right next to you.
Listen, I used to work at a movie theater and got free posters. I'm still puzzled why it's up there.
You can give it to me. I like the movie.
I like that movie a lot, yeah.
Okay.
Not to go on a tangent about Wes Anderson, but did you guys like Asteroid City?
I loved Asteroid City.
Oh.
It wasn't my favorite, but I love all
Same.
of his movies. I even love Isle of Dogs, for fuck's sake.
I like Isle of Dogs.
I don't like Rushmore. I fucking hate Rushmore.
That's fair.
The only
too
ones that haven't
sociopathic.
the only ones that haven't really gelled with me are Asteroid City and controversially Grand Budapest Hotel, which I still haven't rewatched in a couple of years, but I gave it like a 5 out of 10 when I first saw it.
Ooh, wow. You're the first human being that said utter those words, I think.
Hey, listen.
I don't like
symmetry's nice.
No, I'm kidding.
I get it.
You can say that for all his movies, though.
True.
Symmetry's cool. Yeah. The bottle. It's only really Bottle Rocket and Isle of Dogs that I'm not like crazy on. Even though they have some great things about them, but I thought Asteroid City was lovely and just such a great like deconstruction on filmmaking and stuff. And I thought you would like it, Rye, because the whole theater aspect being part of the meta stuff, you know.
I know. I think I do need to rewatch it, and I put that out there like I need to rewatch this, but it was not what I was expecting, and it felt so Wes Anderson that I was like struggling to understand what was happening. So
it's like Wes Anderson put you in a chokehold.
Literally.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
I get you.
Really
sorry, go ahead.
I really hope Henry Sugar is good. Speaking of Roald Dahl and Wes Anderson.
Yes. Isn't that's being released later this year, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, on Netflix, I believe.
Yes, I love it. God, I can't wait. Rise, your next film Fantastic Mr. Fox by chance?
No,
okay.
It is not. My number 3 film had to be on here because it was truly my first childhood obsession. I would watch the shit out of this VHS tape. I would break them because I'd watched them so many times. I was incessant. I think that the music and the animation, even though it was worked on by Disney's B team at the time, while everyone else was working on another film called Pocahontas, I think that this still rises above a lot of. I don't even know if just Disney movies, but I'm also like, I'm a little tired, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But my number 3 is from 1994, and it is The Lion King. I think the music with Tim Rice and Elton John is incredible. I think the animation's incredible. I think like Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick and fucking Jeremy Irons, all of them just made such iconic characters through their voices alone.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a almost perfect movie. I think it takes some material that is pretty nuanced. I mean, it is basically Hamlet. And even if you haven't read Hamlet, it's Hamlet. Like, it's pretty bare bones. Like, you understand that it is pretty Shakespearean in its tone, but it still takes like this musical theater route with it, this Disney Renaissance route, this Elton John power ballad route at some points, but it works. And Simba's was like my favorite character growing up as a kid or whatever. So I think it's great. So it's my number 3.
Awesome. What's your favorite musical number in that movie?
Honestly, I really fuck with. Oh God. I fuck with Be Prepared a lot. I think that's a good song, minus the Nazi symbolism that they use.
Yeah.
It's a little heavy-handed. I was like, okay, I know Walt's dead and you're trying to keep his legacy, but like, calm down. But I really like Can You Feel the Love, and I like
awesome. Yeah.
That song that I can't think about. That really good one.
My favorite would always be Can't Wait to Be King.
Oh, banger.
Just like the imagery and all the animals, and it's just like fucking immaculate. Yeah. Also, fuck the remake for ruining Can You Feel the Love Tonight as well.
Fuck the remake for existing.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's so stupid.
What's the point of making a live action CGI remake?
They're like, hey guys,
I'll
we're
never
using
know.
all new technology. We totally aren't using the same technology fucking What's that goddamn penguin movie with the
Happy Feet.
surfing?
Happy Feet.
No, the other one. Surf's Up.
Oh,
Surfs Up.
It's literally the same technology as that. And am I relaying information from fucking YMS? Yes. Am I ashamed of it? A little bit.
Yeah, you should be.
It's been a minute.
Okay. I'm kidding.
just stand in the corner and think about what you've done, Ryan.
I have to get some water. It's absolutely.
You need a Cinebums timeout. Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna get some water. I'll be right back.
All right. We'll pause for you.
Doo-doo-doo.
I thought you were joking, then you actually walked out of the room. What do you have behind you, Charlotte? What's on the top shelf there?
Let's see here.
I see an owl.
We have owls. We have an alligator thermometer from like probably the 60s. We have various bips and bobs, trolls, Totoros,
Sweet.
Blu-rays, movies,
Mhm.
stuffed animals, potatoes.
Potatoes. You're very well read over there, I could tell.
Mhm. This is where I put my smart people books at.
On display for all the people to think you're smart.
Yeah, exactly.
Think who's smart?
Not you, Ryan.
That's what I fucking thought. I almost poured my water all over my laptop.
That would be bad, but you're back. You're good.
I'm good.
Okay.
Are you hydrated?
Right. I am.
Okay. So that was your number 3, right? So
yes, that was my number 3.
Okay. My number 3 is my second Pixar film from this list, Toy Story 2, which I don't know if that's controversial to say that's the best Toy Story film in the franchise or not. We had a deep conversation about that with Carlos on our Comfort Movies episode. I know also Blair is a big advocate for that film as well, but Toy Story 2 was similar to what you said with Lion King. I just wore the shit out of that VHS tape as a kid. It was like, I think it came up really around the time I was born, so it's like always been in my subconscious. And I think Toy Story 1's a perfect film, but like this really elevates the sort of characters and the world and the theme just to a whole nother level. And just, we love Joan Cusack, and her joining the cast, which is A+ in my opinion. And yeah, like I don't want to keep repeating myself about that movie on this podcast, but like I just think it's the perfect Pixar film in terms of like what they set out to explore in terms of youth and sort of relating themselves back to the young minds that they used to have, getting really existential with it later on, and with one of the greatest montages ever, with that Randy Newman song, or I'm sorry, whatever. I forgot who sang the "When She Loved Me" song. Is just so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
God, yeah, just takes my breath away. And it'll always just be my favorite Pixar film, so that's why I had to pick it. And and my favorite Toy Story film out of the 4 that have come out. So yeah,
shout out to Sarah McLachlan.
That's who it is. God, I'm like, who's the sad ass lady singer?
She's the queen of sad songs.
Yeah, couldn't think of it. God, that song just breaks me in half, even more than the dog commercials would.
Honestly, that shit hurt.
It shit hurts deep. Am I the only one that has mentioned Pixar? Am I a sellout on this podcast?
No, I think so far, yeah, and I don't know how, because I love Pixar too.
I'm just a basic ass motherfucker, I guess. But
I had to rip teeth out, not to mention Ratatouille.
Well, I think that was someone will be talking about that soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Charlotte, number 2?
Yes. My number 2 is The Last Unicorn. I love fantasy movies. It's really interesting that this was made by the people who did it's done by Rankin Bass, who did like all the classic stop motion Christmas movies, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Yes.
And it's like totally different from anything else they've done and whatnot. It's just, a perfect like high fantasy. The animation is beautiful. A lot of people I think who went on to work for Ghibli actually worked on the animation for this film because they outsourced in Japan for Toei, I think. It's incredibly quotable. This idea of being this immortal beast and then becoming a human and feeling your flesh dying around you is like terrifying and really like says something about the horrors and beauty of being a human and the idea of being the only person out there like you left and whatnot. I don't know. It's an amazing film, I think. I even really liked the soundtrack by, I think it's America who did it. It's fun. The voice acting is great. Mia Farrow's amazing in it as the unicorn. It's beautiful.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. I need to get on that. I mean, you sold me at the Frosty the Snowman and Santa Claus stuff. Like those were huge when I loved those so much as a
God,
kid.
yeah.
So
Same
fucking good. So fucking good. So I will. That's been I feel like that's kind of come out as more of a cult, movie as time goes on. Like I've met a lot of people who have good taste like you that are like love that movie. So that's on my list for sure. Ryan, have you seen it?
I've not.
Yeah.
I know it has been on my watch list quite a while because I know Charlotte loves it. I just haven't seen it yet because I don't have a good reason.
No, you do. We both do now.
It's one of those movies that I watched as a child, completely forgot about it, and then I think I rewatched it as either a teenager or an adult and like completely fell back in love with it. And like it's so great when that happens and like you have those little fragmented memories of that
Yes.
thing that you're not quite sure what it is and whatnot, and then you rediscover it and it's just as good as you remember, because so often it's not at all.
Oh God, yeah.
100%. Do you guys have any examples of something that absolutely does not hold up from when you were a kid?
I feel like I'll get a lot of shit for saying it, and I still do love it, but only for nostalgia reasons. But
Say its name.
Halloween Town. I fucking loved Halloween Town when I
Oh,
was a kid. My absolute favorite Disney franchise. And I watched a couple years ago and I was like, this is sort of dog shit, but I love it anyways.
It's camp. Leave it alone.
I want to keep Halloween Town being good in my head, so I don't think I would rewatch it either. But what a fuck. Yeah, that's a good answer. Like a lot of those Disney Channel, was that a Disney Channel original film? Like a lot of those were like fucking so perfect as a kid, and then you rewatch them, and you're like, what was my brain like thinking when I was, that age? But
I'm gonna be controversial. I rewatched High School Musical 2 recently. It still holds up. It
I
does.
want fabulous. It is my simple request.
It's perfect.
Yeah, how could you diss Sharpay like that, dude?
I love Sharpay and a little gay boy, her gay brother. God bless him.
If you don't think Sharpay was the best part of the High School Musical franchise, then I don't know what crack you're smoking.
I don't like how the third movie gave her gay brother a love interest in the end from a girl who's clearly a lesbian too.
Like fucking bullshit. Some tomfoolery cockadoodie bullshit.
Just stick the two queer characters together. Fucking cowards. But
I won't stand
that was
for
a
it.
beard if I ever seen one.
Yeah. Oh, Kenny Ortega, what's wrong with you? I'm trying to think of one myself. Fucking, I might be also controversial, but because we were talking about this in the Discord recently, but Robots is such an amazing like product of its time, but and like I loved it as a kid, and you rewatch it, it's like the most scatterbrained shit, like so insane. Like it was fun to watch, but it's like a horrendous movie, and
Fanny.
people might come at me for that one.
Bro,
R.I.P. Robin. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I think the National Treasures movies were
that's another good
incredible as a child. I haven't seen them recently, so I can't tell you if they're bad or not. But yeah,
I'm sure they're pretty bad. I'm sure they are.
I'm sure they are.
The fucking live action Grinch movie, like,
how dare you?
I loved it as a kid.
Me too.
Like,
Jim
I
Carrey
rewatched it and I was like, this is like the horniest fucking movie ever. There's a reference to a goddamn key party.
True.
Fuck, I never noticed that. God. Speaking of Jim Carrey, the Cat in the Hat movie was like cracked me the fuck up as a kid, and you watch it now and it's a terrifying nightmare.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Jim Carrey was
imagine doing salvias, like
yeah. Like the designs of that movie are still pretty wacky and fun, but like everything else is like Jim Carrey should go to jail for that type performance, you know. But anyway, Rye, you were next, right?
Yeah, am I at number 2?
You're number 2.
My number 2 is a film that is one of my sister's favorite movies. Shout out to Megan. It's one that I saw when it first came out. I liked it, but as a kid, I didn't fully understand what, like, I know there was something going on in certain scenes, but I just couldn't put my finger on it until honestly a couple of rewatches ago, and like this last rewatch. It's from 2007. It is directed by Brad Bird, and it is Ratatouille. I mean, while it is a bit on the nose and with its, I guess, messaging, I think the concept, the setting, the animation, the voice acting, the successful attempts at giving nuance and like interesting dynamics with like the food critic and like the flashback sequence, which I know a lot of film bros are like, bro, it's great. I also think it's great, but I think it ranks so high for me as a family or a kids film because of the way that it does handle feelings of like isolation and like not living up to your family and like following your passions and your hobbies, and like how sometimes following your passion and what you feel most like in love with in your life often means you have to cut ties with people that you thought would never cut ties with.
Yeah. And
just kind of like being seen as like who you really are, and like how it's not really about cooking. It's about like anything that you would put your mind to. And like, so I think it's really well made, and especially on a rewatch, I think it's incredible. So yeah, Brad Bird's Ratatouille is my number 2.
My favorite CGI film.
Yes.
It's a wonderful film. Yeah, that was actually a similar experience to you, because like my sister, also shout out to her, the one that loves Coraline, loves that. It's like her favorite movie of all time, and I always liked it, but then like rewatching it over time, I'm like, this movie's genius. Just like and such an atmosphere that I just want to keep going back to, like kind of neo-French kind of feeling that's just so wonderful, you know, like the cramped apartments and yeah, all that stuff I just love.
Yes, Le Festin is a banging song. So good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I feel like they made that movie for the gay kids who watched Food Network when they were like 3.
Yes, come on.
Which I definitely was. So
period.
God, that movie like made me want to go to like a French bistro and try Ratatouille so much as a kid. Like, God, so influential.
So yummy.
Also, like the Anton Ego scene when he eats the Ratatouille is like top 5 tear jerkers for me. Like whenever I see that, it's fucking so gorgeous. Yeah.
It's right up there with like the Spirited Away buffet scene in the beginning for like top food scenes and movies for me.
The buffet scene is great. Yeah.
Also, not to like drag it on, but something I would add also even to like me talking about Lilo and Stitch is I really appreciate films that incorporate like themes of like chosen families because especially like I mean with Disney, who like listen, no one knows what their prerogative is, no one knows like what their agenda is, but they have released quite a few films that deal with subjects that while they are universal, a lot of queer people can connect to them. Like with chosen family, like Lilo and Stitch literally is about like choosing your own family and like tying in like Ohana and everything, which I think is really beautiful. Like I guess like that's the only I just wanted to like add that in there before I moved on, I guess.
No, yeah, that's a great point. I would almost attribute that to like Brad Bird and whoever wrote Lilo and Stitch, even because like,
oh yeah, I think so too.
Authenticity, you know, would never come from a big corporation like Disney.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, not to attack those fuckers again, but it's true. You know, like, even the latest Pixar movies, like you can't, like which ones specifically?
Lightyear sucked. Elemental, I heard was okay. I
was gonna praise mainly Turning Red and Luca because I thought those were.
I thought Luca was real cute. I like Luca.
I love both of those.
I love them a lot because they felt like more like auteur pieces and like slices of these people's childhoods versus like a universality like soul that's just like, which I like, but it's like let's deal with mortality, and this is like, oh no, let's just talk about my shitty upbringing.
Be a little gay, you know.
Luca's very gay, which was great.
I love how different Luca and Turning Red are too, comparatively. Like they remind me of those early 2000 Disney movies that sort of just stood out from the traditional Disney canon, and I hope we see more of that from them.
Absolutely. I haven't seen Elemental either yet, but I heard it's a big pile of nothing. Mainly.
What if fire and water fell in love?
This is giving an allegory.
It's called The Sea Prince and the Fire Child. It's an anime from the 80s. It's great. Watch that.
Period.
That sounds like Kino. Absolutely. That's sort of like Zootopia, where they're just trying to ham fist these very very on the nose messaging to kids, and it's just like,
and then
it's becoming ham fisted, you know.
There's the wide population or demographic of white people that saw that movie and refuse to admit that it has to do anything with race relations in America.
Yeah. So it failed on multiple
like it's
fronts,
about a bunch of fucking animals, guys.
Don't politicize the movie, guys.
I'm like, anyways.
Yeah. That was such a 2016 rant there, but I miss those days.
A-Cab includes Judy Hopps and Paw Patrol.
We're doing a lot of clapping today. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's what we're here to do. It's all right. My number 2 is, I think, one of the greatest movies ever made. It was the first movie I remember. One of the first movies I remember just absolutely loving. My parents, shout out to them for exposing me at such an early age to the wonderful, delightful Wizard of Oz, starring the incredible Judy Garland, among many other talented people, and just one of the finest films ever made, in my opinion. Like, and just colorful beyond measures, and you know, I think inarguably some of the greatest musical sequences ever made. And like, Follow the Yellow Brick Road is like such a banger, and they never stop. And yeah, like just the most simplest of characters just going on an adventure together. It's like exactly my type of shit. And it was when I was 5 years old. And the whole concept of like missing home and like feeling like you belong somewhere else, and kind of this fish out of water feeling of that movie just inspired like everything coming out after it. And the metaphors that it are beneath the surface that I, you know, would come to learn it when I was older were always fun to see. The flying monkeys were terrifying. I just like it's a movie that's so packed to the brim with just so much incredible stuff. Like it truly has everything. One of the first, if I'm not mistaken, one of the first like really popular Technicolor films, and just so beautiful to look at in every way. And Judy Garland remains one of my favorite performers of all time, and I think that, you know, along with a few others, is her finest work on screen, and one of the most timeless movies I think that's ever been made. And was, I think, you can love as a kid, but you also love, you know, like on your deathbed type movies. So yeah, just the perfect movie. Do you guys stand?
I stand. The Wicked Witch of the West was like an icon of my childhood.
She's the
first
best
time I was ever allowed to go out dressed up as a girl was when I was 3 as the Wicked Witch for Halloween.
Yes.
That's so amazing.
And she's so empathetic. This bitch kills her sister and then steals her shoes, which she is the rightful heir to.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why she's the villain.
Period.
Whoever played her is a fucking killer performance. Like, so
she's
just
great.
the voice is so iconic, and yeah, just so
terrifying.
Great. Yeah. Rise, you ever seen that on stage? I imagine so.
I haven't seen it personally live on stage, but like I love Judy Garland. I think Over the Rainbow is, again, quintessential, like probably maybe the best song ever written for a movie, in my opinion. Just like really encapsulates exactly like not what the film was going for, but like what Hollywood at that time was going for. And Judy Garland's an icon. So
yes,
a tragic life, tragic production, but like the products you can take a lot out of even now.
Yes, absolutely. And that, I think that's gonna be the oldest film on this list. So I'm glad we can get a broad, you know, from the 30s to Puss in Boots all the way in 2022. So we got a good spectrum of films for sure. And number one films. Charlotte, what's your number one for the Kino children's films?
My number one is my second favorite film of all time. I remember being like 5 or 4 and going into Blockbuster Movie Gallery 1 with my mom, and us acquiring this VHS tape that had a little witch on the cover because I was obsessed with witches when I was a little kid and whatnot. And we rented it and hence stole it and stuff from the movie gallery. It's Kiki's Delivery Service, which I have a little GG tattoo if I can get it.
Oh, nice. Love that.
Me and my mom got matching ones because it was just such a staple of my childhood, and such a great movie about finding who you are and whatnot. And Kirsten Dunst is great in the English dub. It's just everything I want in a movie. So slice of life. Nothing huge happens in it for real. It's more so just a movie about being a person and becoming who you are, separated from your family and whatnot. But also about how, you know, we're not alone in this world. You know, Kiki definitely relies on her friends throughout the film and whatnot, and learns to believe in herself. And I just think it's beautiful and perfect, and I love it, and it's my favorite.
Yes, we love that. It's also a perfect film, and one of Ghibli's best in terms of kids pick movies, I think. Just so comforting on every level. And Raya, I assume your stand, since you have the plush behind you.
I love Ghibli. Very late in life, enjoyer of Ghibli and everything, because I never watched them growing up. But I think that film's great, really great.
It's such a great. I've used it a lot to cope whenever I move to a new place, you know, which is an underlying sort of theme that the movie's about, like just moving to a new place, kind of getting out of your comfort zone, and spreading your wings or whatever. Is that movie has always been a comfort to me. Like when I went to college and moved out to my own, you know, out in a big city and stuff, like that's such a great movie to capture the essence of like all that, meeting new friends and dealing with the anxieties of like alienation and stuff like that. So it's just, yeah, it
And
lives
learning
No,
on.
that it's okay to not always be at 100% and stuff. And it's okay that you're going through a writer's block or artist block or a flying block like in the movie and stuff. Like that's just part of life and you move on and you learn to deal with it. And I think that's something that I think a lot of us struggle with, and it's really great to have something that introduces us to that idea so early on.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I at least like to think that Hayao Miyazaki conceived of that movie when he was having like deep writer's block in a way, maybe was feeling like not entirely confident in his abilities as like a human being. And like, that's how he conceived of that. And I just think that's so fucking beautiful to think about, just so much humanity injected into that movie. So yeah, amazing pick. And Rye, I have a feeling what your number one is, but let us know.
My number one is from 2001. Sorry, it was loading really slowly.
Sorry.
It is also a Studio Ghibli film. It is often hailed as their masterpiece. It is for sure their most critically acclaimed film, as it won an animated film Oscar.
Yes.
Which is very rare for a foreign film. It is Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. The world building, the animation, the attention to detail, the writing, not to just like be that guy that lists things and lets y'all fill in the blank, but I think Hayao Miyazaki's attempt to write a story about and for a demographic that he, in his opinion, and I think in everyone's agreed opinion, 10-year-old girls are not often given substantial art to digest as they grow up. And Hayao Miyazaki wanted to write a story about, to his best ability as a man. But I think he did a fantastic job. I think it is a wonderful film, and I think it is quite honestly a masterpiece. And I have this little fucking guy, which you can't see anymore.
Yay, little
Yes.
guys.
Yeah.
Now kiss.
Barnes and Noble. Thanks, babe.
I was gonna say you guys
Same.
took a trip to Barnes and Noble.
We have.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Yeah, a masterpiece, like you said. I think I always watched that movie later on, and it became such like a spiritual experience watching that movie. I don't know, like it was so fucking. It always just brought me to another place, which I say a lot of Studio Ghibli movies do, but especially Spirited Away is so special. And yeah, my number one is also a Ghibli movie. I'm glad we all could recognize them as the fucking kings and queens of the kids genre, because they really are. Specifically Hayao Miyazaki. And I have the poster behind me. I mean, it was anyone who knows me knows I'm obsessed with Totoro. It was, it was always important to me as a kid, and it remains very important to me as an adult. And kind of what Charlotte said about Kiki's, like, there's not a lot of, conflict in this movie at all. And it's just really about the essence and the wonderment of being a kid. A place, that we all want to go back to, and like a time that we all like yearn to like recapture, or at least I do, is that childlike, wonderment that we all had as a kid. And like Totoro, I think, just does it perfectly. And it's just the most cozy, comforting movie in my repertoire. And I think maybe like along with other Miyazaki movies, I think it's a movie that people are like going to keep showing their kids, because like, I mean, one, it's uncontroversial. Like there's nothing you could really say about Totoro, but like, it's so life affirming, and it teaches that, kids at a very young age, like at a toddler age, like really simplistic independence, and like how to deal with a sick parent, how to deal with feeling like a little inadequate some days, and like maybe you have to fend for yourself. And I just think like the simplest of like little conflicts that he injects into that movie, I think are so geniusly portrayed in that movie. And just the it's just the movie for me. It always was when I was a kid. And Miyazaki is daddy, and we could all agree there. So yeah, that's my number one. And I didn't expect that we'd all have Miyazaki's. I think that's fucking awesome. That's so cool.
He's the goat.
He's undoubtedly the goat. Kiki's was on my list too. And that Spirited Away, but Ponyo was another one that I was like really close to bringing up in this.
Ponyo.
I was really close to bringing up Howl's Moving Castle.
That too.
But also, I want to give a shout out to fucking Tale of Princess Kaguya, a Ghibli film.
So underrated.
So underrated. It is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not in my opinion, it's not a kid's movie.
No. I don't think so.
So it's like, do with that as you will.
I think Ghibli later on kind of deviated from because like The Wind Rises is not really
I need to see The Wind Rises still. I need to see Only Yesterday, and then I need to see Ponyo, and I think that's about it.
Only Yesterday is so melancholy and beautiful.
It's very sad. I love it. Yeah.
Am I gonna cry?
Good. Probably.
Probably.
Oh, I love crying to movies.
I think Only Yesterday, though, is a great movie to show older kids, not necessarily like your 3-year-old, but like, 8 or 9 when they're like starting to get to a point where they may be on the cusp of puberty or whatever, because it like helps and normalizes menstruation in like such a great way, I think.
Totally.
And I've heard that, of course, because how society in the world is, that's a big reason why the film's often considered pretty controversial and why it was even given like a PG-13 rating and stuff like that, just because of
I didn't even realize
casual mentions of menstruation is too much for cis men.
Was that even in Japan, or was that just when it got a US release? Because that sounds like
it sounds American, but I'm not sure.
Interesting. Whatever the case, though, like that
sounds incredible.
It's it's a great film. Even their quote unquote mediocre films, I cry, like, so
Pompoko is fucking
I was gonna say
fantastic.
Pompoko. I haven't even seen it yet.
Pompoko's great. When Marnie was there, I was like, I don't love that movie as much as the others, but I still kind of cried during it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's just wonderful. It's whip the fan out. So I think we covered it. I think we did our top 10s. Do you guys have any other like things regarding kids films that you want to bring up? Any sort of topics or anything we missed out on?
Honorable mention for Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, I guess.
Yes.
And Marcel for me.
Marcel the Shell is so good.
I didn't even think about that as a kid's, I guess more of a family film, but it does work. It does work.
Absolutely. Nightmare Before Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas is great. The Iron Giant, I'm a huge fan of that movie.
I finally watched it last year.
It is it's so low. There's a bunch of Disney movies I love, like Alice in Wonderland and like Pinocchio and shit that I didn't mention, but trying to think.
Cats.
Oh yeah, that was a good one too. I love Lady and the Tramp. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I fucking loved that when I was a kid.
I love Stuart Little, despite being controversial choice.
I want to eat Stuart Little.
Can you imagine going to an orphanage or living in an orphanage and them choosing the rat over you, bro?
Yeah.
I would cry.
That'd be my rat.
It's a rat that has a car and he talks, though. I mean,
you have stiff competition.
Have you all seen Babe Pig in the City?
I haven't seen Babe Pig in the City, but I've seen Babe.
Oh my god! I mean, the first Babe is good and whatever, but Babe Pig in the City is a wonderful movie. I think it's right up both of your alleys. Just so imaginative and scary.
Sounds good.
It is fucking terrifying. Like to this day.
The animated Charlotte's Web.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's good too.
Charlotte, I have the original like watercolor art print VHS slipcover for Charlotte's Web
Oh,
with like the big rainbow and them all marching.
mhm.
It's so cute.
Also, I just want to say I'm so proud of us. I don't think any of us made an Irreversible or a Serbian film or a Salo joke this entire time.
Ugh,
So
We are
pure. It was
so
such
pure.
a pure episode. I mean, that kind of was just a solo joke, but it worked.
Ah!
It's whatever. Salo, we've talked. That's like the number one film that we've referenced in the past like year. Mainly because it causes a stir with Mr. Carlito.
It's a great family movie. Show your kids it as soon
It's a
as
great family
possible.
movie. A lot of family love in that movie.
It will teach them to be
Yes.
anti-fascist.
It's true. It does. They'll never be fascists after ingesting that.
These are the morals we need to impose on our kids.
I was gonna say Antichrist is another great one.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Birds and the Bees, first scene.
yeah. Don't kill a baby. You mean? Don't let your baby go.
No,
off
I
a
mean that
windowsill.
massive Willem Dafoe dog.
No, I know. Yeah. Willem's packing heat, which we all knew.
We all know.
But it was affirmed in Antichrist. Never Ending Story is another one I had on my list too.
I love
A
what?
Never Ending Story.
The Never
I've
Ending
never
Story.
seen it.
It's a magnificent one.
You are literally Falcor, Ryan.
He is Falcor, yeah.
In the same way you're literally Totoro, Jake.
Oh,
That's what I've
huggable.
tried to be. That's what I tried to be my whole life. Thank you so much.
God bless
Um,
it.
How many fans do you have? That's like the third different fan.
I went to Pride. Oh, hold on. Oh my God.
The second time that Rise walked off frame. Oh,
I have 3, or I have 2 now. This one
What?
says it's a Mean Girls reference, and it's
amazing.
and it's her saying, "Is cocaine a carb?"
That's so funny.
Yeah. And then the other one, I'm getting nervous that we still have to rank all these.
Do we?
Do we?
I didn't know
Do
that was
we?
part of it. We
I didn't-
can if
Oh,
you
then
that
want.
was
fuck
a
me. I
part of
guess I
it.
didn't know. I was getting nervous. I was like 30 movies.
We're gonna rank 30 movies. I don't know if we can do that.
I was like, oh my God.
We could say the top 5. I don't know.
I don't know.
Totoro, all the Ghiblis. There we go.
All
Those
the
are
There we go.
Ghiblis.
That's all the best. That's the top.
You know what? That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But amazing episode. Thank you guys so much. You're both wonderful people, and it was a pleasure to have you guys on for very wholesome and just a trip down nostalgia. So I appreciate you guys coming on.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. Thank me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us, Zaddy Jake.
You're so welcome. Anything you guys want to plug about your life or just parting words in general? Charlotte, thank you so much. You were great, and you dressed up. I appreciate it. You look immaculate.
I had to look hot. And on that
course.
note, subscribe to my OnlyFans. JK. Unless.
Unless. Yeah, Ryan, what's your OnlyFans? Ari Aster boy number 23.
It's just me folding the lips of the shirt and making him say nasty shit.
I would subscribe. Hey,
Honestly, I'm a content creator.
I
Thanks for having me back, man. I appreciate it.
Of course, yeah.
Thank you so much, Jake.
You
That was
guys, of course, you guys are both welcome back anytime. You were wonderful guests. And Rye, you said theater episode. I know we've put that off for
We got to do it.
God knows how long. So just give me a
got
list
to
of
drag in
movies.
someone that doesn't like musicals, and I think
Oh, I mean, that's very simple. Just bring
Very
Carlos.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be
Fair.
against the whole spirit of musical theater episode, because every chance he'll get, he'll take a stab at American in Paris or something like that. So.
Yeah, which I haven't even fucking seen. See, so I have some research to do as well.
We'll talk.
We'll talk.
But thank you everyone for listening to this. Let me know like your favorite family films. I'm actually curious to see those answers. So hit them in the comments or whatever. And subscribe to the Cinebums on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Twitter, on Instagram, and check out our website and all that jazz. All that jizz, I should say, excuse me. We're with this Misfit Pond crude right now. So, and yeah, look out for our next episodes, whatever that will be. And everyone have a good day. We love you.